I'd like to welcome all of you to our 2021 Redistricting Kickoff Zoom event. My name is Bradley Bounds. I work for the City Manager's Office. I am the Program Specialist for the Redistricting Project. It's just a fancy way of saying I'm the Project Manager. So we wanted to have this meeting to discuss with the public with what we're doing when it comes to redistricting, how the community is going to be able to participate, and basically give a brief overview of what our project is going to entail and how the public will be able to get involved and be a part of that process. This is the start of a series of meetings that we're going to be hosting into the summer ending in August. So today we have a presentation that's going to be started by our chair and vice chair for our inaugural Independent Redistricting Commission. The chair is Alejandra Gutierrez and vice chair Diggs Jackson. And I'm going to pass it off to the chair so we can get started.
Thank you, Bradley. Hi, everyone. My name is Alejandra Gutierrez, and I serve as the chair for the Independent Redistricting Commission. I'm really excited to start this work and get you all involved. So thank you so much for taking some time to join us and add to a successful launch of our redistricting work. So today we're going to cover quite a few things to embolden you to participate. So we're going to go through Redistricting 101, just some basics about the work. What is the Long Beach Independent Redistricting Commission itself? How can the community get involved? We're going to actually have redistricting partners help us go over a map tool demonstration so that you know how that software works and so that you can participate in that portion of the redistricting. And then we're also going to have a question and answer session at the end. So if you have any questions about any of the content during this presentation, please feel free to use the question and answer feature in Zoom. And we have a lot of time at the end to answer those questions. So please feel free to do that. And so if we could go to the next slide, please. So Redistricting 101. So what is redistricting? So redistricting is the process of adjusting district lines every 10 years after receiving US Census data. So this process is very, very important because it will set the lines for a whole decade. So the last time that this was done was 2011, and these have been in place. So now when we do receive this new information, we're going to be able to create new maps, new districts that represent the population fairly and accurately and afford the communities that are in these districts equal access to political representation. So if districts are redrawn to keep communities intact, then the hope is that people are better able to choose representation that reflects their interests and the interest of their communities. So this is why this work is so important. Next slide, please. So redistricting in the city of Long Beach. So how did we do it before? So as I said previously, the last time we did this was in 2011, and that was done by the city council, guided by the city council, and with the help of the staff, and that's how the current districts were created. So this new process that was adopted through voters approving the measure D November 6, 2018, now we have this Independent Redistricting Commission that's been established and has been tasked with creating the districts without the help from the city council or mayor or any other representatives. And so to learn a little bit more about that, I'm going to now hand it off to my vice chair, Sharon Diggs Jackson.
Thank you, Chair Gutierrez. Again, I'm Sharon Diggs Jackson. I'm a resident of the city of Long Beach and I live in the 5th district. So what is the Redistricting Commission and how did we get here? It's really about our community and our voice. Per the charter, there were some specific guidelines that talked about how the selection process for the Independent Redistricting Council, what some of the requirements were. And as you see here on the slides, the commission needs to reasonably reflect the diversity of our city. It's an independent body, which means that it will operate outside of the jurisdiction of the mayor and the city council's control. It will not consider place of residence of any individual, including any incumbent or political candidate, in the creation of our maps. It's an open and transparent process. So what exactly does it do and how did we get here? So if we go back just a little bit, the selection process. One of the things I love about living in Long Beach is that we're a community of activists. We are involved. We care about our neighborhoods. We're passionate. And because of that, the outreach that was conducted to identify the commissioners, which took place from August of 2019 to June of 2020, the city received 400 applicants. That's something for us to really be proud of as residents, to know that we want to have a say and we want to be a part of our community. And so then the Ethics Commission was charged with reviewing those applications, to verifying them, to validating them. And that was a yeoman task for them. But from that, they were able to get down to a subpool of 20 to 30 qualified applicants. And from those applicants, and if any of you watched the Ethics Commission meeting that night, it was a random selection to identify one representative from each of the 9 council districts. Once those 9 were identified, the commission was then brought together with the 9, and then the independent redistricting commissioners then picked the remaining 4 members, because the charter calls for our commission to be 13 members. So there was a random selection for that first 9, and then there was 4 that were selected by the commission, as well as 2 alternates. And then the commission was seated on November 20 of 2020, and we've been holding training meetings and learning and being educated about the process of drawing district boundary lines, as well as the charter amendment and all that, everything since January. I think that's... And here we are. So then you'll see our commissioners that are spread. There's a representative from each district, at least 1 representative. And then as we round it out with the 4, you'll see that some districts have more than 1 representative in order for us to get to the number of 13, as well as we see the alternates. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to be able to serve on the commission.
Thank you, Vice Chair. As she so eloquently put, we are really excited to have representation from all of the districts, and obviously our work is holistic, and it's going to be in the service of the entire city when we are drawing these maps. So and so, as she also stated, we've been working really hard to really learn and be prepared and ready for the task at hand. So in the IRC business and training here that we've been doing. So our commission has had training again from January to March, and it's covered several really important factors. So first, as you see here in this slide, we've gone over local and statewide redistricting commission best practices. We've had people who have served in state commissions and city commissions come and share their experience, give us their notes and guidance. We also have been trained by our city legal staff about the voting, the Federal Voting Rights Act, California laws, the Brown Act, and everything that we have to be mindful about when making these decisions and determinations. We've also gone over redistricting fundamentals just to make sure that we're doing the work accurately. We've also gone over how to identify communities of interest. And so by that we mean connected populations that share common social and economic interests that should be included in the same district for effective and fair representation as a potential voting bloc in the current or future elections. So that is really important. And I just wanted you to note that, because we will get to some of that later in the slide and how you can participate in helping us identify communities of interest in Long Beach. We've also received an overview of demographics and geography of Long Beach. Aside from our personal, knowledge of the city as being residents, I reside in District 6, and obviously we needed more training so that we know that we are very aware of everything that's going on in the city outside of our own districts. We also had training on the map tool that we will be using, and you will also have that opportunity to go through that training yourselves. We also have gone through creating IRC rules and going over IRC rules and procedures created by our bylaws. We've created a draft redistricting engagement plan, which this is part of. So this is the launch that we're excited about. And we've created a draft redistricting process. And all of this information is available to you all on the longbeach.gov website. So it's just longbeach.gov/redistricting. So please feel free to go over all of this information. Everything's out there for you so that you can see the training that we've undergone and that you are free to look over and familiarize yourself with as well. So, and I think now I'm going to pass it on over to our city staff, and I believe Bradley will be helping us out with the next slide. Go ahead, Bradley.
Thank you. So basically what we're trying to engage the public with is we have 3 phases of engagement that are going to happen. And currently we are in the educate phase. And the purpose of the phases for educate is to introduce the commission to everyone, identify local community partners, and let everyone know about the basics of redistricting. So this is the first meeting that we're having with the community. The second meeting that's going to happen is going to start in the motivate phase. So that is going to start in June and end towards September. And the purpose of that phase is to have the basics of redistricting taught to the public and encourage public testimony, as the chair alluded to earlier, for communities of interest, and the training the community on the map submission process. The last phase is going to be the activate phase. It's where we're going to be encouraging the public to submit draft maps and also encourage the public to attend the map hearings. So there are multiple ways of engagement that we're taking on, and that is going to be the digital and traditional. So for digital, we're doing social media posts, the city newsletters, and the public service announcements that we are currently developing. In addition to that, for traditional, it's going to be postcards, flyers, posters, local news outlets, advertisements, and digital billboards, and Long Beach Transit advertisements. So you've heard us continuously say what a community of interest is, that we've had training on communities of interest. So we wanted to take some time to inform all of you on what a community interest is. So as our chair mentioned, it's a connected population that shares a common and social economic interest. And the basic examples of these could be cultural, it could be historical, it can be ethnic, it can be also economic. All of these basically to tell us and tell the commission that they should be considered as in a single district to have fair representation. So we've outlined 3 ways that you can share with us, and that is going to be attending meetings, which we'll get into detail on, and filling out a COI form, which is a communities of interest form. So if you aren't able to attend the upcoming meetings, you'll be able to fill out this form as well, or you can do both. And it's in 4 languages as of now. If you go to this website or you go to our main page, you'll be able to view the page in Khmer, Tagalog, English, and Spanish. And the other option is to submit a communities of interest map, which we'll be getting into towards the end of the presentation. So we have some upcoming meetings for the motivate phase, and they are district specific meetings. And what these meetings will entail, we'll go into detail with next, but this is the general schedule for it. So on June 2nd, we'll be starting our District 1 meeting, and it's important for everyone to be able to attend this meeting. We have it open for all. And starting with District 1, we're going to be following into District 4 in August on the 18th. And to find out where these meetings are going to be, we have a newsletter that you can subscribe to that is going to be at the bottom of this slide. This presentation will also be sent out so you can be able to go to this website as well. And then we're going to cap things off with a September 8th meeting. That's a citywide outreach meeting. So if you're unable to attend all of the other district specific meetings, you can attend the citywide one as a catch-all. So I'm going to pass things over to Patricia. She's our communications coordinator.
Thank you, Bradley. Hello, everybody. My name is Patty Aleman. I am the communications coordinator for the 2021 redistricting initiative. To continue further with the outreach meetings that Bradley had briefly touched on, we wanted to provide you with what these meetings will actually entail and what we will be presenting to the public. So there will be 9 commission outreach meetings, and these are designed to be in every city council district. We are still in a virtual space, so at the moment it's still on a virtual level, but if anything changes, we'll make sure that the community does know of any changes. The purpose of the outreach hearings is really to provide training on the redistricting process, but to further encourage the participation for the map drawing hearings that will be set place later this fall. The 3 things that we will cover are redistricting basics, providing a training tool for the map tool that the public can use for their map submissions. And then the most important piece of all these district specific meetings is an opportunity for the public to provide public testimony of their communities of interest. These meetings will be widely used to gather unique experiences from the public about what Long Beach is to them, what community is to the residents, and our goal is really to make sure that we are getting as much testimony as possible from the public. Next slide. Thank you. So a little bit about how you can actually participate in these meetings. So to sign up to speak on any of the agenda items, you have to sign up by noon the day of the meeting. The link can be found on our City of Long Beach redistricting website or the city clerk's website, and it's also here on the PowerPoint. We also wanted to make this link accessible to, so we will provide it with our social media and any of our promos that are going out. This link will also be on there. Best practices when you are submitting any public testimonies, make sure to include name and where you live. If you're submitting any maps or COI forms, the location as best described as possible so that the commission and city staff knows where these communities that are. And then if you are submitting maps, provide the name of the community or the map code, and all of this information we will be able to provide on our city website that's easily found for everybody. We also want to be as accessible and to the community as humanly possible. So having language access and ADA compliance for our meetings. So to request a translator, you first must sign up for a public comment and then email our redistricting website or call our city clerk page. As of right now, all of our meetings will have Spanish translations. We have 2 districts that have Khmer translations and of course Spanish, and then any more translation services needed, you can always request using this method. A few of our milestones that we wanted to go over and just correlating with what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. As I explained earlier, our district-specific outreach meetings will start in June and they will conclude in August. Again, it's important for us to have public participation for the public testimony during this piece. In June, we will also be able to open up map submissions and communities of interest forms from this community. So the communities of interest forms and map submissions you can submit starting June and ending all the way up to the projects when it concludes. The map submission district plans using the 2010 data, you can start in June and it will conclude in September. Once the data is released by September 30th, the public can start using the 2020 data to draw their district plans with those map submissions. And then that is also where the commission can start drawing their lines. So the map drawing hearings will begin mid-October and go through December 2021. And then back to how the hearings will go for the map hearing process. Once we have all the data, we'll have more concrete dates on when these map hearings are going to start. But as of right now, we can tell you how the stages are going to work. We'll start with the analysis of the existing districts, comparing the district lines as of right now with the 2020 data that we'll receive once the census data is released. It will go into the initial draft map selection. Any selected draft maps and tables will be posted for 7 days after the meeting. Then the commission will come back and the community is able to provide their feedback on those maps that have been posted. Moving forward, the commission will propose a final map selection. That final map will be posted for another 7 days. When the commission reconvenes, they can vote for the final map and report. And once that is approved, it will be submitted to the county for the next election. And then now moving on to redistricting partners, and they will go over a map training tool.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can go over the mapping tool that's been developed by the city and will be up and available on the city website in the coming days. The discussion already has been around developing communities of interest. One of the things that Bradley mentioned was the community of interest form, which is a way for you to write out where the geography is of your community of interest, what keeps your community of interest together, what defines it, and then also how that community of interest relates to the work of city government. Now, with a mapping tool, we can utilize an additional technology in order to allow us to kind of draw out that footprint of your community of interest and submit that with the same kind of information. The tool that's being used is called Maptitude for redistricting. And it is a common tool that's used around the country. It was used by the State Redistricting Commission in 2011 and is being used all around the country for local and statewide redistricting. But it can be used as well as a tool simply to draw communities of interest and submit them. So I'm going to go through and show how you can log in and do this. When the site goes live, anybody can go in and just click new user and register to go ahead and create an account and start the process. When you log in, you're able to select a plan that you've created before or create a new one. I'll just go ahead and create a new one for this, and I'll call this My Community. Oh, I guess I already created one called My Community, so I'll call it Our Community. And this training will be provided at each regional meeting as well, or each district level meeting. So if you see this and it goes fast, or you want to kind of back up and look at other things, you'll also get a chance in each of the district level meetings to get the same kind of information. To start off, if you come in here at the beginning, you can see the entirety of the city. If you're on the page for the first time and there's this big help menu that is popping up, you can go ahead and close that. But there's a whole entire help menu that you can utilize as you're doing it. Right now, we have the entirety of the city and we have the neighborhoods. It is one of the key criteria for the commission to keep neighborhoods whole. And so that can be utilized for you as you're looking at your community of interest or eventually drawing lines. There are a number of different tools that are built into this system. This toolbox, which you can open and close by clicking on it, allows you to select that you're going to create a new district and where you're going to create it from. And it allows you to select the area by clicking on little areas with a pointer, drawing circles, or creating a polygon or a box in order to create your community of interest. It also allows you to select these areas based on a census block, which is very small, oftentimes just a little block level, or a block group, which is a set of blocks to make it a little easier to do that. But we'll start with census block. When we draw an area, there are other windows that are available to show you the changes you've made, give you some breakdowns of the population of the areas that you've created. That's a little bit advanced, but it is there for you to utilize. There's also this area of options, which allows you to select what layers you want to see. So for the purposes of our work, we have a couple layers that I think are interesting for drawing communities of interest. First off, we have the existing council districts in here. So if somebody wanted to draw their community of interest utilizing the existing council district boundaries, they can. And we have the neighborhoods. This set of neighborhood lines has been utilized for the Redistricting Commission only. It's derived from work we did with the city to define some of the commonly used neighborhoods and align those to the census geography. So if you notice any small differences in the neighborhood, it's likely because of the fact that these lines had to adjust to the census boundaries. But if I wanted to go in and utilizing these neighborhoods and I wanted to zoom in, I can zoom in using these tools of the zoom in, zoom out, or the hand to move. I could go ahead in and I could zoom in here. I'll just pick a part of the city randomly. And I can zoom way in, and I'll actually turn off the census block, census track there. I can zoom way in or maybe pull out a little bit to kind of come in and say, okay, well, here's a neighborhood of Wilmore. And I want to create my neighborhood. And I want to say that my neighborhood is the portion of Wilmore and Magnolia District, this side near the LA River. I'm just grabbing this randomly just to show for purposes of illustration there. I want to grab that area and I want to say that is what I'm going to call my neighborhood. If I find that and that's what I want, I can click the little check mark and I can name this as, I'll just call it, you know, my area. And I can put a longer name here if I wanted to put something else. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And that's my area that I want to report to the Redistricting Commission that I want to keep that area whole. So I can actually do a few things. I can email it, I can share it, or I can submit it. Submitting it is a way to send this in as your public testimony. So you can write anything you want here. You can say my area is, and put information about what connects you, what defines you and your neighbors, what makes you a community of interest. And then you can put your information with your full name, address, other information. I believe the telephone number has to be a digits, but this can also be something that we can work with the commission on what information they want to require as that's submitted, and they can go ahead and submit it. When you submit that, it actually does go to the city, and we at Redistricting Partners will work with the commission to utilize this in the process they're going to use to define communities of interest and to eventually draw district boundaries. Now, if you've created this and you say, well, I actually have another community of interest. I have a community of interest. I want to create a new district. I have a community of interest also where, me and my family go and we spend time, down near the coastline. And I want to make a second community of interest of the coastline because the coastline has specific needs. It has different type of people, maybe. It needs protection from the city so that we're making sure that waste is picked up and that, the facilities are clean and that the recreational opportunities are preserved. And so I can go in here and I can create a second community of interest and say, well, my other community of interest is the coastline. And I can go ahead and save that and call that coast. And then I can go ahead and do the same thing. I could submit it. I could also email it. I could email it to myself. And when I email it to myself, I could put a message. I can also send the technical data files that go along with it. And I can send, and it'll send me this map with my communities of interest, and then the breakdowns of the populations in each of those areas. So this tool is great for allowing you to submit to the commission a little bit more detailed information about the footprint of your community of interest, to provide additional written information like a narrative about what defines your community of interest, and then also to send a copy to yourself or send a copy to other people that you're working with as part of a coalition. Eventually, this tool will be the very same tool that you'll use to submit draft plans. Right now, the tool is utilizing the 2010 census data because we don't have the 2020 census data yet. When that data does come, which will likely be sometime mid to late September, all the data in here will be replaced with the most recent decennial census, and you'll be able to come in here and start utilizing this tool to create district plans, and then submit those district plans to the commission for their consideration. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop my sharing and pass it back. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That was really helpful. So now that we got some information, and again, all of that is going to be available in every district meeting. There's a tutorial link that'll be up on our redistricting page. So please make sure that you go up and check that out because obviously, like the slide states, we want you to participate. So how can the community participate in this process? We encourage your participation by filling out and completing the community of interest form that Bradley described. Let us know that there's a neighborhood or a social group or all the long list that was provided, or if we missed something, let us know that why you feel that this is a community that we should be aware of. So please do that, and you could do that and return it to us via email. You could email that to redistricting@longbeach.gov. You could drop it off or mail a hard copy to the office of the city clerk. So please, I encourage everyone to do that. The other more easy thing that you just started is to attend a meeting, right? So you attended this one. We encourage you to attend not only just our events, our outreach events, but our regular Independent Redistricting Commission meetings. And that information and that schedule is also up on our redistricting website. And also by creating your own community of interest map, as Paul just showed us how to do that using the tool. So that'll be available June 2nd. And so we definitely encourage everybody to participate in some way or another. Another thing that will be available to you later when census data is available would be to submit district plans. We will look at those and again, encourage that form of participation and attending mapping hearings once we do elevate some and have them up for review. So definitely please consider what ways work for you and how you want to communicate, and we encourage all participation. So you could do one or two or all, whatever feels good, and we'll encourage you to take part of this really effort that will have repercussions for our city for the next decade. So it's really important to get everybody's input. Next slide, please. Another effort that we would appreciate everybody's help with would be to spread the word, right? So redistricting is something that's so important, but I don't know that it's something that we commonly speak about in our social circles or with our families. So it would be so great if everybody can pass this along and spread the word. So 4 things that we encourage for you to get the word out would be to follow the City of Long Beach on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I know that the city clerk's office posted something on the Instagram story to share with friends and family. It was very easy, takes a second. So if you could engage with us via social media, that would be great. Continuing with the social media, you could use the hashtag RedistrictLB2021 to kind of amplify and promote on different platforms, and also encourage people in your network to get involved, right? It goes much further if you're excited about the work and you get your friend excited, or your neighbor, again, family. Encourage anybody to speak on this subject, because their input matters. And another big way to do it also is to subscribe for updates. We keep putting this little thing up, and I know that Bradley shared that whoever attended will be getting this link as well. So subscribe for updates, get the latest on meetings and different efforts that are happening. So again, I definitely encourage everybody to become a part of this. We want to hear what you have to say. We're here to represent you all. And you know, we're doing this with all of Long Beach in mind. So please participate in some way. And thank you for participating today. So I think up next would be our Vice Chair, Sharon Diggs-Jackson. You're muted. Sorry.
So as you'll see, that's posted there on the screen. We'll see just a reminder one more time of the schedule. We have coming up, the first meeting will be on June the 2nd. And I know that we said it, but just to reiterate it, residents can attend any of the meetings. Each of the meetings will be presented in the same format, provided the same information. So we want this to be able to work for everybody's schedule. But as you see, the meetings start June 2nd and going through June 23rd. And then starting in July, we pretty much are consecutive on Wednesdays, going through August up until August the 18th, and then moving on for that citywide outreach. We encourage you to attend.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. So we've set aside some time to go through some questions that are asked in the Q&A section. In addition, we've also noticed that there are attendees that have their hand up. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them into the Q&A section, and we will be able to get to that. All right, so I'm going to get started. So one of the questions that we have is, where can we see a current district map, and where can we get the population of each district? So on our website, we have the maps available. You'll be able to see the current district map on our redistricting website. So if you visit that under maps, it should be there. In addition, you should be able to find out what the current population is. We have an additional question regarding the Los Cerritos Neighborhood Association. So the Los Cerritos Neighborhood Association would like to submit a letter with some items and a request, and what is the best way to submit that letter to the commission? So to submit information to the Independent Redistricting Commission, we have multiple ways. So you can either fill out a COI form, you can submit a COI map that we've seen the demonstration on. We also have, we are providing the opportunity for you to testify at meetings, and then you can also email documents to the redistricting@longbeach.gov email. And we would make sure that the IRC can view whatever you send. And also, we are allowing groups to be able to sign up as a group representative for community groups to testify at the district-specific meetings. So we're still finalizing the details on how that process is going to work, but that is something to look out for as well. And then we have an additional question that is, what's the difference between keeping communities intact and gerrymandering? And how is the notion of community defined? I would like to defer that to Paul from Redistricting Partners.
Sure. So actually utilizing communities of interest as the basis for redistricting is the counterbalance to gerrymandering. It ensures that the redistricting process is not being done to create any maps that are devised for a political outcome or for a partisan outcome or to protect a particular incumbent or candidate. The commission's rules and the focus on doing redistricting based on preserving communities of interest will allow us to know that the maps that are produced are not a gerrymander.
Thank you, Paul. So we have an additional question on who determined which districts were assigned to members. So I can go back through how that worked. So we had 400 applicants for the commissioner selection process. It was refined down to the 30 subpool. The first 9 were randomly selected, and then those 9 picked the remaining 4 and the last 2 alternates. And then we received an additional question that is community participation restricted to Long Beach residents? And the answer to that would be no. If you are a part of an economic community of interest, but you don't necessarily live in Long Beach, but you do work, you live, play in Long Beach, then you have a say on what your community of interest is in Long Beach. So you will be able to attend and also provide feedback to the commission as well. And then we received an additional question on, can we get a copy of this recording? So the intent is once we process the recording that we will make this available for the public to see. And the additional question to that was, are we able to do a COI map and also later a suggested map of districts? And the answer to that would be yes. So you can fill out the COI map, submit that in, and then you can create a new map, and that new map would be your district map or an additional COI map, however you want to go about it, and you'll be able to submit that as well. We received an additional question regarding the COI maps. So it's our COI maps will be made using the 2010 census data. And so with the COI maps, what really matters is the geographical boundaries of the maps. We are putting in the 2010 census data in the mapping tool until the 2020 data is released. So the technical answer to that is yes. But in reality, it's the COI maps. It can be, if you're not really sure on the large amount of population that might be in the boundaries that you have, the reality is the boundaries are really what's important for the COI testimony. We received an additional question on, are we able to make presentations at neighborhood associations? So we would love to be able to do that. If you want to partner with us on that, you can feel free to reach out to me. My contact information will be available at the end of this presentation. It is bradley.bounds@longbeach.gov. So feel free to send me an email and we can coordinate that. We have an additional question. Is the commission comprised solely of volunteers of residents of Long Beach? And the answer to that is yes. And they receive a stipend of $200.
And Bradley, this is Vice Chair. I may not have made it clear in my section that when the Ethics Commission narrowed down the pool to the 20 and they made the random selection, the selections were made to ensure that there was a candidate from each council district. So they weren't appointed, but they were selected based upon their residents, and then they ensured that there was one representative from each council district.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So we received an additional question on, can the number of districts increase as well as decrease? I'd like to defer that question to Paul.
No, that's not a part of this process. This process is only redistricting the set number of districts, and there's no latitude for the commission to increase or decrease districts. In order to do something like that, it would require a vote of the public.
So we have another question that is, what is the target population for each district? And that's really going to be determined by the data that we receive when the 2020 census data arrives. All right, so that is all the questions that we have today. If you have any additional questions, I'm going to transition to the next slide, and you'll be able to provide them to me at my contact. Give me a second. So that is my contact. It is Bradley Bounds at bradley.bounds@longbeach.gov. You can feel free to email me if you have any questions regarding the presentation that you received today. If you have any additional comments or concerns, or if you need assistance or you want this slideshow translated as well, you can feel free to reach out to me and I can work to accommodate all of you. In addition, we have a link here that is to sign up for our newsletter. At the conclusion of this presentation, you will be directed to the newsletter sign up. So it takes 39 seconds on average to complete. It just requires your name and email. Fill it out, and we will provide you with updates on what the commission is doing and the meeting invites as well. Other than that, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing all of you at the next meeting on June 2nd.